Things started well enough, at least for the D, but UCLA wasn't going to be denied in Corvallis. We'll break down why things went south against the Bruins and what the Beavs can do this week to keep Jared Goff contained. The future's bright on campus. We'll talk with Coach Anderson about new facilities under construction, what those improvements mean for the near-term recruiting and the long-term strength of the football program. Beavers Inside the Huddle starts now.
Welcome into the Flat Tail Brewing Studios along with Steve Priest. I'm Dusty Hara. For the next half hour, we're going to be diving deep into Oregon State football. You can communicate with the show using the hashtag BeaversFB. We'll be joined by Coach Anderson coming up in a mere moments. But Steve, as we start every show, it's time to take a look back at the week that was. And it wasn't a pretty one down in Reser Stadium as UCLA comes in and leaves with the 41-0 victory. Well,
it started out pretty well. You know, that first quarter, the defense particularly plays really, really well. They look like they just took it over from Utah the week before. They're doing everything well. The defense is in their gaps. They're quick to put pressure. They're quick to cover. They just do a lot of things. And as you're watching right here, they stay in their areas of contain, which had been a problem for these young Beavs. They stopped that guy, Paul Perkins, pretty much cold, and they held Rosen very well. Look at this sack coming from the outside. Big play there by Obwegu, the linebacker, and they held him to 60 yards in that first quarter, which is a great quarter. Unfortunately, they gave up a few more later on, but they played really well and kept the Beavers in it. The Beavers had a chance to win based on the defense that first quarter.
And feeding off of the defense was the offense early. And running the ball and establishing the run early on in the football game was something that Oregon State was really thriving on and moving the ball down the field, eating up some clock.
Yeah, it was great to see Storm Bars Woods, excuse me. He ran the ball inside well, he cut well, he did all the kind of things that he's been so good at. As you see right there, he makes a great move to the outside, good blocking. They're using Ryan Nall inside a lot as a blocker last week, and it worked well. He also ran. Watch him move this pile for a huge first down. Wow. Now, unfortunately, he's hurt this week with a concussion, so it didn't pay off right there. But you watch this third run again. Storm Woods, look at the good block outside by Nall, the bounce out. They're 26 yards here, and you know the Beavers did some really good things, as you said, Dusty. They just didn't get points.
Mm-hmm. Well, in going on to that, when your offense isn't able to get sevens or threes in that first half, or that first quarter rather, you started to see it kind of wear on the defense as the offense was having their miscues and their miscommunications.
Well, they had 3 turnovers in about 8 minutes, and during that timeline the Beavers gave up 17 points. And when you've been scoring like the Beavers, 25 points in the last 3 games, and playing against teams that are scoring 30 and 35, I think there's a little bit of disheartening going on the Beaver side of the ball. The defense doesn't play quite as well. They make some mistakes on the D side. The offense, after the turnovers, it looked like they weren't playing as well. And the other side of the field, they're fired up now. And UCLA was bringing everybody.
You know, one thing is we always hear, you know, defense feeds off of offense. Well, the offense feeds off of the defense just as much. And we saw that definitely in the first quarter. Then turnovers happen, as you say. It starts unraveling on them. And one thing that I think people and fans and just spectators of Oregon State are watching is you have the good run game, and it's starting and it's establishing itself early. It's kind of the passing game that is failing to catch up at this point right now. And you kind of earmarked a few of the plays that we saw from both the quarterbacks.
Yeah, I think that the quarterbacks all season long have done as much as they can do. They're young, they're learning. It's been difficult. The guys that I think have to step up more are the wide receivers. You have some bad balls. I'll go with that. You see some here in our highlights. But the truth is that these receivers are very good, and they need to make some plays. You've got Billamy, you've got Bolden. These guys can do some things. And this will always be a strength of Oregon State. They've got a great receiving coach and a great receiving group, if you will. And they just need to put it together, play well the rest of the season, keep this thing going.
Well, then we got 3 games left here in the 2015 campaign as the bowl, the reality of a bowl left with UCLA on that plane back down to Pasadena. Sitting at 2-6 right now. The fourth quarter of this season is starting right now with that trip down to Cal. What are you seeing from a growth standpoint that if we're looking and vaulting towards the future?
Well, I'm really pleased with, let's use the offensive line as an example. You've got 4 out of the 6 guys that were expected to start, including the tight end, Caleb Smith, who are not playing. And all the people replacing him are young guys. And the whole left side of the line now are guys that weren't even expecting to be on the field. One of them had mononucleosis about 6 months ago, and he's lost 30 pounds. And they've played well, particularly the last 2 weeks against, Utah is as good a front 7 as there is. So they've matured that way. The receivers, the young receivers have looked good. They've got a lot of young people on defense that have really stepped up. Now, they aren't young anymore. This is the 10th game. So they're no longer rookies, if you will. And I think that has to keep going, and you have to balance that with the seniors and how they finish out. These guys are owed something, and I hope this team gets together and plays that way.
Well, we've got a lot to get to on Inside the Huddle, as we're going to be taking a look into the future of Oregon State football. That is the Valley Football Center, and it's coming through with some big improvements on the horizon. And we'll talk with Coach Anderson about the future and take a look back briefly at what happened at UCLA and how you stopped that guy, Jared Goff, the Cal quarterback. Welcome back into Beavers Inside the Huddle. Steve Priest, Dusty Hara, and joining us now via the InFocus Mondo Pad collaboration that works is the head coach of the Beavs, Gary Anderson. Coach Anderson, thank you for being with us, and let's just get right to it. And we're going back to and taking a look at last week. Despite a loss, you guys started very well on the defensive side of the ball. A stellar first quarter where you guys went in scoreless after one. Talk about what you guys were able to do defensively to confuse Josh Rosen and push UCLA kind of on their heels to start the football game.
Well, I think the biggest thing is we were able to stop the run and tackle well for the most part, and then we were able to get some pressure on the quarterback. We got to him a couple times. We had a sack in there, and then we were able to get some pressure. And the back end, we made some plays on the ball when the ball was in the air. So it was obviously a good start. The kids came out ready to go, which was good to see. And we got ourselves into a position where we gave up 17 points on some turnovers that didn't. Obviously, those turnovers did not go our way, and the rest is history. So a start is fine, but far from good enough.
Coach, that was one of your keys last week. You wanted the defense to start quickly, and giving up 60 in that first quarter left the offense in position to win. But after that, the defense, they gave up 600 yards, 610 yards in the last 3 quarters. What changed then? Was it the fact that the score grew and the offense hasn't put a lot of points on the board? Are they losing it because of youth and those kinds of things? Is that as big a factor as how they actually are playing?
It was actually how we ended up executing at the end. And the pass plays, when you break it down and you spend some time watching the film, our issues were within the second level of coverage. It wasn't necessarily, that 5 to 12 yards from the line of scrimmage. It was that 12 to 17 yards from the line of scrimmage. And we had a lot of balls completed in zone coverages there. And when you're playing zone coverages and you're blitzing in those scenarios, whether you're playing cover 3, cover 2 behind it, or bringing the creepers, you're going to have some holes. You have to get pressure on the quarterback. And if you decide to do that by rushing 4 defensive linemen, by rushing 4 guys and bringing in 3 guys, an outside linebacker, or rushing 5, there's holes in zone coverages where kids can't hold up forever. A perfect example of that is when we were backed up. We had them backed up. We ran a corner blitz. Cover 2 corner. He sinks out of there. He has to play in between receiver 1 and 2 when 2 guys go vertical. And we don't execute the blitz if the corner just comes off the edge and goes and gets it. So, again, we always blame ourselves as coaches, so we got to coach it better. But that could have been a big play in a big time moment. And there's a lot of those that go through it. But I don't see a lack of effort. I don't see a lack of kids going out there and working to play the game the right way. But obviously, we need to continue to work to get better on defense to string those quarters together. And we'll be challenged in the exact same way this week.
Awesome, Coach. The one real good thing this week is you got both your starting cornerbacks back this week.
What's that, Steve? I'm sorry.
You've got both your starting cornerbacks back this week who'll be available to play. You've had so many injuries back there. Talk about what that means to your team.
Yeah, it's going to be back to have. It's going to be. Yeah, it's important to get those kids back. You know, I think any time that we have the ability, you know, look at our defense right now, and you're going to have Treston, you're going to have Larry back. That's huge for us. And last game, at the end of the game, we were down to 2 corners, and they were both very, very young players that hadn't been in that position before. So it's good to see those kids get back there. Other places, you know, we all have injuries this time of the year, and it is what it is. So I always say we're not going to sit there and cry and whine about what we don't have. We're going to be excited about what we do have and a chance to be able to go out and get better and compete. But it's nice to have those 2 kids back in that position, and the safeties will be a little bit different, but they'll be ready to go also.
Let's take a look even further forward as Jared Goff, the quarterback for the Cal Golden Bears, he's a headache in his own right. Projected to be one of the starting or one of the top picks in next spring's NFL draft. What do you see that pops off on the tape that makes him such a special quarterback?
Well, he can make all the throws. The deep ones, he can throw from sideline to sideline. Does a great job of throwing the fade ball. He has some very talented receivers that he throws to. It's not just Lawyer. There's a bunch of those kids that are there that are very good players. I think he fits in the scheme very well, and he understands the scheme. So he's an experienced guy within his scheme. His God-given abilities are the best of the best, and he will play for a long time at the next level. And it's in this league, you're going to play against great players every single week at certain positions, and this happens to be a quarterback that's an elite performer. So it's a tremendous challenge for our defense as a whole, not just our defensive backs. It's a challenge for our defense as a whole to play against a very, very, very good / great college player and a young man that's going to have a chance to play at the next level.
Coach, I was really surprised in watching film on this guy. He's got as good a release as I've ever seen, and he's got 6 guys with over 20 catches, and the way he moves progression to progression is incredible for a college football player.
Yeah, he does a very good job. You know, this is we've competed against Sonny's teams in the past a few times, and we've always had tremendous respect as a staff for his defense. And when he has a trigger man like he has right now, he's going to make sure that that ball gets spread all over the field. It's not going to just go to 1 or 2 different people. You can even look and say, hey, how much are the running backs involved? If you need to have the running back involved, they're going to make sure that they've got the running back involved in the throw game also. So it's a very good offense. And again, he fits into the program very, very well. He understands the scheme, and it is a good scheme. It has, in a way, it's like a Washington State scheme. They all put their own stamp on it, but the protections are exactly the same. They're that drop back, fall back protection. You have to be able to get 4 guys there or get in those throw lanes somehow, some way. And if you can do that, you have an opportunity to get the quarterback off rhythm. If you cannot do that, then your defensive backs, they basically have no chance to be able to defend the whole area. So the pass rush is a key to the game.
All right, Coach, as we try to do every single week, we get a question from Twitter to ask for you from a fan. Alex asking, is there an update to the status of Seth Collins? Is he expected to return at some point this season?
You know, Seth is still week to week. Obviously, he's not with us this week, and I would say he's doubtful to return for the rest of this season.
All right, we still got a lot to get to with Coach Anderson. We got our keys to the game. Plus, we are going to talk about the future. It is coming to Oregon State. That end zone is going to look a whole lot different in a couple years. We'll get Coach Anderson's thoughts on it next. The Beavers Inside the Huddle rolls on. There's a big project down in Corvallis that is rolling on as well. Coach Gary Anderson joining us still live from Corvallis as we head down and we take a look at our Diamond in the Rough, presented by Ben Bridge Jewelers. These renderings for the Victory Through Valley project released this week.
Coach, this facility more than doubles the size, goes from 28,000 up 37,000 feet more, $42 million project. It changes everything. The size of that building gets dramatically larger, but what really changes for me is what's inside of it, the locker rooms and those kinds of things, and what they do for you as a football program, to your recruiting, to help the kids, and to the academic side in the works. Can you describe a little bit about what's there for you and what it's going to do for you?
Well, it does. a whole bunch of good for us in a lot of different ways. If you sit back and, when you build a new facility, so much, it's very important these days to have a tremendous facility. We'll have the best of the best. And I don't have a long time to talk about it, but you'll start with the best of the best, from a locker room to a player's lounge to brand new meeting rooms to a brand new auditorium. Coaches' offices will be redone. You're going to have an extra training room to the side of where the existing training rooms right now, hot tubs, cold tubs, saunas, barbershop inside of it. So it's going to have all the best for the kids, and it is important. And you know what? It's not just about because it's nice or it's a very nice facility. It's great. Kids in the Pac-12, they should have the best of the best, in my opinion. We're asking them to play at the highest level, but it does make them a better student athlete in so many different ways, to functionally go through their day the way they should be able to go through their day at this level of football. So we're blessed, we're lucky to be in this position. Thank goodness that we've been able to get to this point, and our kids, myself, anybody that has anything to do with the football team is very appreciative of the opportunity to see this new facility start to get built, and we're very happy that we're going to be able to recruit to it as we continue to move forward, and the kids will have an opportunity to move in that in the fall of 2016, and some places a little bit before the fall of 2016. So it's a huge step in the right direction to where we need to go.
Groundbreaking next week before the Washington game. That'll be a special moment to start this facility even before the end of the season for us. And one thing I wanted to ask you quickly, the players will be entering the field right on the ground level, right through the middle of that building, almost under the goalpost. That's kind of an exciting way to do it, as opposed to the way it is now down the ramps.
Yeah, it is. It's a great way to enter the field, and there's 6 days a year that they're going to be able to run out there right in front of their crowd, and they'll be able to spend a lot of time in that locker room. It's very conducive for game day situations as far as the meetings and the things we need to do. But that locker room is as good as there is in the country, and it's a great place for our kids to be able to bond, be together, be in a great environment. But if you're going to jog out of that locker room into Reeser, it's a very, very special moment for those kids. We look forward to that, and we look forward to continually work. We've got a lot of work to do between now and then before we jog out of there, get ourselves prepared to do Beaver Nation proud.
Coach, you said we're recruiting forward to it. You're looking forward to doing that. Every single week throughout the course of the year, we see 1 or 2 names pop up with a commitment going to Oregon State. Is that something that you guys have already started selling the kids on, is what's coming down the pipeline for the Beavs?
Oh, absolutely. We're recruiting definitely to the future, and we're showing these young men the direction of the university. And it is absolutely powerful when you can walk in there and say, look at the commitment to the new facilities, look at the commitment that we have academically, look at the commitment to the whole picture of this university and what they're doing in athletics as a whole. It's powerful. And then you look at the new vision of, and we tell the kids all the time right now that we're recruiting, is we're expecting you to come in with a chip on your shoulder that I want to do something different. I want to be part of something special. I want to build something up and get it to places where it hasn't been. I don't want to be a sustainer, and that's what we came here as a coaching staff to do. That was a major driving force when we ended up coming here as a staff and taking the job, and we need those competitive kids that are looking into have that same vision that we have. So there's a lot to recruit to here. Just like I always say, if you think you got to go out on the road here as a recruiter and go sell things, you're very, very sadly mistaken. All you have to do is just show what's going to take place, show what you believe is going to take place, and it'll all be well here at Oregon State.
Coach Anderson, we always thank you for your time. It's very gracious of you to spend this half hour with us. Good luck this week. Any final thoughts heading into the trip to Cal?
I'm excited about another opportunity to go win. These kids are prepared. They've worked their tails off. Very proud to be their coach, and we look forward to representing Beaver Nation very well in Cal. Big-time game.
Awesome.
Expect to win.
All right, Coach.
Coach Gary Anderson of the Beavs as they head down to Berkeley. Next, we got our keys to the game. This is Beavers Inside the Huddle. It is time to unveil our keys to the game, brought to you by your local Northwest Honda dealers, where I will start. Throw the ball for 250 yards. Easier said than done, but Cal's defense is bad against the pass. Number 2, pressure Jared Goff. He's a different quarterback when he's pushed off his spot. That doesn't mean sacks all the time. And number 3, fight. Just fight. 60 minutes, whole time.
Absolutely. Good points. I don't care where the Beavs get their offense, whether it's pass, whether it's run. We just want points, and we want offense. And my first goal this week is total offense of 450 yards. Now, sounds like a lot for the Beavs, but Oregon put 777 on these guys last week. Come on, Beavs. Let's get some plays. Defense, no long plays. That's what killed the Beavs last week. Gary covered it. We talked about it. The Beavs simply have to shut down the long play. Runner pass. And last, play a complete game. Let's not have a bad first half and a good second half, or the other way around. Let's play 60 minutes.
Well, they head down to Strawberry Canyon for a meeting with the Cal Golden Bears. We will be back next Thursday night, 8 o'clock, right here on Comcast Sportsnet.